We're going to be looking at how we can create stacked top link navigation. This is navigation that stacks vertically on top of each other for small screens and displays in a horizontal list when the screen space becomes larger. This is a very easy technique to implement. It's almost always how large screen websites structure their navigation anyways, and it's a very touch-friendly link pattern, more friendly than just leaving the links horizontally across the top. By stacking the links, you are providing a larger hit state for your users. The disadvantages of this technique are the height issues. Your main mantra is that you should display your content first, navigation second. That's the preferred mobile web experience. You want to get the users to the meat and potatoes of the content as quickly as possible, and that usually means getting the navigation out of the user's way so they can focus on the core information of the page. It can also be confusing when some of the core content is cut off. We'll be looking at some other more robust solutions later on, but let's just look at this one because it is an easy to implement, and in situations where you have minimal navigational elements, this could be a great choice. The start page that we're going to begin working on is the page that we've already been looking at. Currently, it just uses the default navigation, so there's no media queries. Everything is just working as it normally would. We'll be augmenting some of the CSS as well as adding additional media queries as we go through this exercise. Let's take a look at our code and see how we can modify the code so that we can create the top stack navigation styles. Here's the code that we currently have for the navigation. We'll be keeping much of this, and we'll get rid of some things and add some additional things so that we can create our vertically stacked navigation. The background color on the navigation tag is going to remain as is, as will the rules that we currently have on our navigation UL. We're going to be getting rid of the navigation LI rule right here. We don't need it for this particular exercise, so we'll just delete that. On the navigation LIA, we're going to keep the rules that we currently have, but we're going to add a border on the bottom of a 1 pixel light gray line. This will allow us to separate the information a little bit better. In addition to that, I'm going to augment my padding from 1/2 an em all the way around to 1 em on the top and the bottom and 1/2 an em on the right and the left. Let's save this and see what we have in the browser. You can see that now my navigation is stacked vertically. I have these thin gray lines that separate the content, and when I resize the screen, you can see that the navigation is clearly navigation. It stays vertically stacked, and there's plenty of rules for fingers to be able to click the links. The one additional rule that I'm going to add is I'm just going to create some separation from my aside and the navigation. We'll put that on the navigation rule right here, and we'll just add a margin on the bottom of 1/2 an em. Now if I save and refresh, you can see how there's a little bit of spacing between that. I like that better. So this looks how we want it to look on the mobile device. What we'll do next is we'll refine the layout slightly so that we don't have the vertically stacked navigation on a large or full screen device. We'll be augmenting just a few of our rules here. I'm going to go down into the media query that I have for minimum width of 720 pixels, and let's add some rules down here for navigation. I'll just put a comment so that I can remember that these are my navigation rules here. The first rule is going to be for navigation LI. Here we're going to tell these to display as inline block elements. You might have recalled that we deleted this rule when we made our previous styles. I'm also going to set the margin to 0. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the border on the bottom of the LIA elements. If we save and we refresh in the browser, at the large screen you can see how I have the horizontally stacked. Now I still see the underlines, so there must be a slight error here. Oh, I see what it is. I reversed my G and my A. Let's save that and refresh. Now that border on the bottom disappears. So here's how it looks on the large screen, horizontally stacked across the page, and then as my page gets smaller, I'll end up with a vertically stacked navigation for smaller sizes. So you can see that this is easy to implement. It's going to work well at both large and small screen sizes, and it's giving the user maximum usability for their particular needs. The only downside is it does push down the content and takes up a lot of our real estate here. You could resolve this by exploring some of the other options that we've discussed, or also sticking around for some future lessons that we'll be covering.